chemical weapons attack in Syria on Wednesday. While the date and time are still being worked out, there are new reports today that the Assad regime is expressing confidence that it has gained the upper hand in the bloody 2.5-year civil war that has left an estimated 100,000 people dead. Walid Phares is a Fox News Middle East and terrorism analyst, and he's the author of the upcoming book, The Coming Revolution, or the book, I should say, The Coming Revolution. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much.
So if, in fact, it is found that the Syrian regime has or is responsible for this chemical weapons attack, what should the United States do?
Well, basically, the Obama administration is working on making sure that it has the legal evidence. It may have some analytical evidence, some all sort of evidence, but it needs the evidence that it can take to the Security Council or to Congress or to the allies and say, it has been used by the regime, and then morally and politically we need to take an action. Now, what kind of action is the big question? Would it be limited to striking back at the missile sites that use those weapons, or at the storage site? That is something in the hands of the discretion of the president. But whatever that action is going to be, Heather, it's going to lead to a reaction by the Syrians and their allies, and that's, I think, where the White House thinking is today.
You know, in my research for our segment today, I found an article that you wrote. It was back in June, or you commented in this article, and you talked about the timing, and you said that intervening now in Syria, this is your quote, it would be the equivalent of entering World War II in 42 and not in 41 and not in 40, basically saying that it's too late. Is that what you still believe?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to explain why. In 2001, and we lived all of that a few years ago, we were present in Iraq. Everything we'd like to take around Syria today to take some action against the regime, we had it already. But when we withdrew from Iraq, the Iranians through Iraq were able to connect with Assad and are providing him with everything he needs, and Hazbollah from Lebanon is moving also and fighting with Assad. So the difference between 2011 and today, in 2011 Assad was completely surrounded, isolated like Gaddafi was. Today, if we want to take action against Assad, we'll be confronting Iranian regime, Assad's friends in Iraq, and Hazbollah. That's why it's a much bigger decision today than 3 years ago.
Yes, in terms of supplying weapons to the rebels and not knowing exactly who we're supplying them to. My next question would be then, you know, clearly this is a humanitarian crisis. Hundreds of thousands of people dead. We saw the latest pictures of the women and children lined up in these body bags, one beside another. Do we have any other options? What else can we do?
Look, option of not doing anything is going to lead to another 50,000, another 100,000, because if you don't contain it, there is no reason for the regime not to continue with that, massacre, and there is no reason for Al-Qaeda to continue with the penetration of the opposition. So it seems to me that the most possible thing we could do with less cost would be to establish a small no-fly zone over a small area of security for the people who are fleeing. This would be the basis for another operation if we have a much wider consensus, internationally speaking.
Okay. Walid Phares, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you so much.
Prosecutors